Hello friends, now we will try to make our analytical report on the situation around Ukraine and inside of Ukraine. Of course, we will start from the military situation. There is an operational pause in the front in Ukraine. Ukrainian troops conduct reconnaissance in the combat in the Kherson and Lugansk regions. For their part, Russian forces continued to locally attack the settlements around the town of Bakhmut and the town of Avdiivka in the Donetsk direction. The armed forces in Ukraine confirmed the taking under control of 5 more small settlements in the Kherson region. In total, 75 settlements are under the control of armed forces of Ukraine in the Kherson region. 29 of them were liberated in October. In connection with the counteroffensive of the Ukrainian army and the likely new escalation of hostilities, the occupying authorities in the Kherson region appealed to the leadership of the Russian Federation, to the President of Russian Federation, with a public request to help organize the departure, evacuation of the residents from the region. It is also possible that the announced evacuation from the Kherson region, if it takes place in full, may imply an intensification of hostilities, retreat to the Russian Federation armed forces from the region or its right-bank part, or the likelihood of further use of non-conventional, for example, nuclear weapon in southern part of Ukraine, if the situation on the front for Russian armed forces deteriorates significantly. It is also possible that the evacuation of the inhabitants of Kherson region by the occupying authorities is connected with the difficulty of holding the heating season in this region. The Russian Federation uses the Belarusian army as a source of military resources and its infrastructure for prepare large masses of Russian mobilized soldiers for a likely new invasion from Belarus into Ukraine, which may take place in January-April next year. On the basis of the Belarusian army, the Russian Federation can create an invasion army, new invasion army within 2 or 3 months. Rocket attacks by the Russian Federation on Ukraine have exacerbated the already difficult state of the Ukrainian economy. This year GDP is expected to decline by 35% with inflation of 30%. During 2 days of rocket attacks, Ukrainian energy infrastructure facilities suffered significant damage. About 30% were damaged. This actually led us to a shortage of the country's energy system. Ukraine is now forced to abandon the export of electricity to the European Union and Moldova, to stop a whole list of energy-consuming plants and enterprises, limit street lighting everywhere, introduce shutdown schedules in part of the territory to reduce consumption by 25%. This is the current level of electricity shortage in Ukraine. At the same time, Turkey continues initiatives to resume peace talks. It is important that in the format of negotiation announced early in Turkey, there is no Ukraine. And it is obvious that launching this process, Ankara will largely rely on the consent of Russian President Vladimir Putin and will try to reach some kind of document on the eve of the G20 summit on November 15-16 on about in Bali, in Indonesia. But the demonstrative exclusion of the topic Ukraine from the negotiations of the summit in Astana, which was held this week, despite numerous announcements, demonstrates the absence of an agreed and, at least in principle, draft agreement. The final decision to start negotiations on the Turkish scenario will largely depend on the presence of a global consensus with the participation of the United States, European Union, United Kingdom and China, of course. Obviously, Ukrainian authorities will oppose such an option. Vladimir Zelensky and his team categorically reject any proposal for negotiations. Moreover, Ukraine raises political stakes, provoking Putin's entourage to a new forceful reaction with the statements about the puppies, pets and alcohol in the team of Putin. This week statement of Ukrainian President Zelensky. Brussels hosted the 6th meeting of Ramstein Contact Group on Ukraine's defense, the first since Russia's annexation of 4 Ukrainian territories, the announcement of mobilization in Russia, and the resumption of Moscow's nuclear rhetoric. All these points are regarded by NATO as an escalation of the war by the Kremlin, and further consultation will be held with this in mind. Western countries will continue to provide significant military and financial support for Ukraine. Military supplies will now focus on missile defense system and preparation of the Ukrainian army to the winter season. At the same time, Western countries once again emphasized that they did not intend to enter into conflict with Russian Federation. In particular, in the event of a nuclear strike on Ukraine, the response of Western countries will not be symmetrical. Of course, Western countries are trying to don't be afraid, to make a panic inside their society, and we should understand it. The Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe adopted a resolution calling Russia a terrorist state. This decision can be used in international courts, including regarding frozen Russian assets abroad, or precede the adoption in the United States of a bill recognizing Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. The statement by the Minister of Defense of Ukraine that Ukraine is already a de facto member of NATO may mean a further transfer of the armed forces of Ukraine to NATO standards and models of weapons, the unification of command and control system. This is only one way which Ukraine should lead, because post-Soviet weapon assets are almost done. New Ukrainian initiatives on transitional formats in cooperation with NATO are also likely, following the example of association treatment agreement between Ukraine and the European Union should be also done. Financial assistance from Western partners come to Ukraine irregularly and with long delays. Thus, the actual cash receipts into the country are 4.5 times less than the liabilities. The United States remains the leader in providing assistance to Ukraine. From 93 billion euros international helps aids for Ukraine from the starting this war, United States provided more than 53. European Union provided more than 30 billion, and Great Britain provided more than 6 billion euros. And another country also helped a lot. An important factor in the growth inflation in our country is the state budget deficit, which by the end of the year will amount to 26% of GDP. The budget deficit is covered, among other things, by issuing hryvnia. Okay, friends, thank you for watching this video. Please write down, please subscribe to this video, please advise this video to your friends, because when we will take the level of 1,000 of subscribers for my English language channel, we will start the live discussion, question and answer sessions, and many other interesting for you things. Thank you, friends, one more. See you next time. Bye bye.